Tell us how it was in Chizkiyahu's tunnel.
It was really nice, except in the middle, everyone started to get loud, and then someone yelled, on the count of three, everyone started screaming, and then on the count of three, everyone started screaming. So it was really weird, and then they all stopped. It's fun, and I hope I do it again.
Oh, it was wonderful. Let's see.
Yes, I walked through the Gikon tunnel.
Having a fun trip. I just did a lot of tunnel. I can't believe I did.
It was dark and took forever, and it was cold. Cold water. But it was worth it.
It was great.
It was great.
What was it like going through the tunnel?
It was better than all the water rides at Universal Studios. And we had an enjoyable B'nai Jeshurun family experience getting through. And that's what I have to say.
The ruins of a Roman street.
We're now at the place called ver.2. This whole place is called ver.2, but this actual town where we're going to dig it is called Marasha.
Go.
They just go to a different part.
Or French arms or whatever else they have, right? The Iraqis are over in this, are also coming into it, right? You have a coastline that you can't defend. What's going on with the Jewish Navy? You know, the Jewish Navy reminds me of the fleet of sunfish that we had in Kiev when I was that was more or less it. Right? There would be immigrant ships. For me, there's something like it's like a goose pimples. This connection between an underground factory or storage house in the year 70 and an underground factory in the year 1947, 1948. There's something, and here what we see is this factory. These are you would punch out the bullets, the cartridges from this metal. Each of these machines was smuggled into the country as agricultural machinery, mostly from here.
Now, let's just go back for a moment. This is being done here more or less. This is from the Byzantine period, right? When the Roman Empire becomes Christian, which would be essentially from the 300s to the 600s, when the Muslims come in. If you go back to an earlier period, we talked about. You think about a Greek building. What comes to your mind? Think about a Greek temple. What do you see in your mind's eye? Columns, right? Columns, right? What are you seeing? What part of the building? Outside, right? The facade. When you look at Byzantine era churches and synagogues, what do we think of those who have seen? Mosaics. What part of the building is it?
שרק יבוא, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יגיע, אני רוצה, אני רוצה לבוא.
Folklore of Jewish history, not in the halachic traditions, but in the folklore, is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, right? Who lives in this area, right? In the area, it's not more likely in the area of Meron, the mountain on the other side. And the story is told of him that he went to live in. He was one of the rabbis who had we talked about yesterday, smicha. He had this rabbinical ordination, and he wanted to pass it on. It was a capital crime, and he was caught. So he hid from the Romans. That's the political explanation. He hid from the Romans in a cave in a town called Pikain on the other side of the Meron mountain, and he sat there for 7 years with his son, only drinking the water of the stream that went through and eating from the carob tree that was there. In a cave. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. In a cave. And he became intensely spiritual, intensely connected to God. So much so that when he comes out of the cave, he looks at a person working in a field, a farmer, and he's disgusted by it, the physicality of it. And because he's such a spiritually powerful figure, his eyes lock in on the field, and the field starts to burn. So a voice comes down from God and says, "What are you doing? You're burning down my world." And he puts him back in the cave so that he can learn to balance himself. And in our classical tradition of Jewish mysticism, as I said, Shimon Bar Yochai is assigned a very powerful place. And even the book of the Zohar, which is in reality written in Spain 1,000 years later, is attributed to Rabbi riding along the road in the Negev one day, and he saw a group of young guys and girls building a kibbutz. And he drove up and he said, "What movement are you from?" They said, "We're independent. We don't belong to any movement." He said, "You know what? I'm going to join you when I finish this crazy place, the government."